Well, good morning, everybody. I'm here in my world headquarters north of Seattle, and we have an audience of 2 people. So that's pretty stunning. Whoever you are, why don't we start off and you tell me, if you don't mind, who you are and where you live. And let's see if any more people come along. And today we'll talk about anything. We talk about what's in the issue. Oh, we got 9 people. Good. Tell us where you are from, and maybe what kind of RV you're driving or towing. Plus, there's lots of unfortunately, today's issue has a story about flying flags and displaying banners at campgrounds, and oh boy, it's getting a very angry response. Sad to see that. Everybody's just mad about everybody else. And here we go. Comments. Gary Hallberg from Renton, Washington. You're close. Desert Rat, you're back again. Alan from Northwest Arkansas. You have a 2021 Jayco travel trailer. We were going to sell our motorhome, Gail and I. We have a 32-foot Winnebago Adventure. It's a gasser. We were going to sell it, but we actually cleaned it all up and got it in perfect condition and listed it. And nothing. Nobody wants it. We lowered the price. I'm thinking that this is not a good time to be selling. And we just decided, because we were going to get something smaller, and we just decided that we've got a pretty that RV is really served us well. We tow a little Honda Fit behind it. Then that's been a little manual transmission. That's been a great little car to tow. And so we're getting ready to take off here in a little bit and go over the Oregon coast, which is really nice in the winter. I mean, the weather can be a little tough. Glenn, welcome from Walnutport, PA. Where's Waldenport? You've got a Tiffin. Where's Waldenport? Walnutport. Never heard of that. Go back to the Hershey show every year, see a little bit, or not every year, every other year, usually see a little bit of Pennsylvania. Beautiful back there, the Amish country. I always have my shoe fly pie. Is that what it is? Yeah. 10 people on. I didn't publicize this very much. We're still learning the ropes. Still just trying to decide what to make of these programs. We do have the Wednesday program that's getting more popular with Dave Solberg and Dustin Simpson. And that one is, it's all about technical advice, repair and maintenance. Glenn, it's near Allentown, 90 miles from Hershey. Oh, I've probably been there then. Is there anything anybody like to talk about RV travel, about what you like, what you don't like? I mean, I'm basically here just to talk about what we talk about, answer your questions. I'm not a technical expert, but I do know the lifestyle after, half a century of traveling. And of course, the changes that I've seen through the years. It's certainly what's going on with RVing today is far different than what it was when I started. It was RVs were much more basic. Camping was more basic. There was no internet. There was no need for Wi-Fi. There was no need. Well, there was no Wi-Fi. There was no need for even anything but maybe 20 amp electricity. I don't know how many RVs even had air conditioning back then. I think some, but it was just what the RVs weren't like they are today with 5 slide outs and people living in them. It was harder to live in an RV back then. So campgrounds were mostly just that, campgrounds. And not what they're becoming, which very often is our RV parks or mobile home parks. And of course, mobile home parks are being bought up now like crazy because they're good investments. And so those people are being kicked out because, or forced out because their rents are being raised up. These are people who have been there 10, 20, 30 years. And so I suspect some of those people will end up in RVs in RV parks. Everybody's so quiet out there. Doesn't anybody have a comment or a question or anything um, about the newsletter? About any of the stories in there? Um, Talk about your RV. Do you like it? Do you not like it? You thinking of selling your RV, or is it? Um, are you happy with what you've got? I know the a lot of people are that bought on impulse at the beginning of the pandemic are starting to sell their RVs, finding that RVing wasn't their the life they expected. Um, Scott, going to Big Bend in 2 weeks looks to be fun for a couple of old heads. Well, it's a popular place, and it's one of the few places I have not been to. And I know it's beautiful, and I got to get there. I've been close, but of all the states that I've traveled in and through the years, Texas is, with the exception of staying 3 months in around, it was Ingram, Texas, down in the hill country um, near Kerrville. Um, I have not spent a lot of time in Texas, but there's lots to see there. And I did enjoy. We did enjoy the 2 months in Ingram, exploring that area. Um, uh, it was a really interesting campground. They had miniature horses, and they were like big puppy dogs. You could feed them, and they were big pets. Um, and the horses I've heard are gone, which is kind of too bad. Do you think the difficulty in selling is from Alan, the glut of used in the market, or I think it's probably both. Um, I'm no expert on all this, but I think that I think the whole market's going to go crazy here in the next year. I don't know what's going to happen, but did you see the sales drop here? Let me see if I got that chart on here. Here, this is probably look at this in September. The blue is the sales last year or shipments of RVs, and then look down in this month. It was down 48% in the shipments. So the factories are definitely having to slow back. If you are on Facebook, there's a group on there. It's called RV Professionals, or anyway, you can if you have any interest in that, you might try to join that um, because the people talk about their jobs, where the jobs are, that they lost their jobs, how much they're being paid. I mean, it's uh, we'll see. But to answer your question, I think it's both of those things. Bob P. Hi, Bob P. Bob from upstate New York. Robert, yeah, hanging up doing the high price of gas. Boy, uh, yeah, Alan, the local lots are filled up. Yeah, it wasn't that way 2 years ago. They were empty. I remember we were writing about that. Um, but I went out just the other day to top off our gas. It was right around $5 a gallon, and $200 it shut off, and that didn't even fill it. And I don't have a big tank. I don't have a big diesel pusher. I don't know how people can go on these long trips and drive and drive and drive. I mean, there's been times when we've been driving home where we filled the tank at least two full times and maybe topped it off then, and we're talking $500 in a day just for gas. So, but just going there and sitting, well, it doesn't make much difference if that's how you travel. Then it's not going to mean much to you. But anyway, Robert, how long have you been? So you're hanging up the keys. How long have you been RVing? And but yeah, I'm getting a lot of letters from people that are hanging it up. I'm not getting 376 a gallon. Where are you, Bob? You're in upstate New York. Wow, that's a good price. Down in California, of course, over $6. It was five. It's just dropped below $5 here in the Seattle area. But oh yeah, I have something to tell you. We are giving away today. I am going to give away a wonderful RV travel drinking coffee mug. How do you like that, huh? Ceramic. This is both sides, so you can be a lefty or a righty. And all you've got to do right now is you've just got to make a comment and you've got to put hashtag mug. Hashtag mug. M-U-G. Here we go. There you go. Hashtag mug. And we will draw a winner. You've got to stay on. You can't, if you're not here, then we save the prize for another time. But I guarantee you, coffee tastes better in this mug. Hot chocolate too. Hot tea. I don't know. I know one guy that gave up coffee, so he just drank hot water all day. So there you go. I'll remind you again. So let's see. We got you're getting this is good odds because right now, Alan, you're the only one I can see that's entered. So you are in. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's Alan and Bob are competing now for the mug. Hashtag mug. And what kind of contest do you have? Where I mean, usually, you publish your clearinghouse 1 in 500 million or something, and here you're going to have maybe 1 in 15 or 1 in 10. Now those are good odds, and this would cost you with shipping probably about $25-30, $25 maybe. Got a little stain on there. This is well used. Let's see. Robert, you have permanently moved to Central Florida to an RV village. Are you in the villages there? That big, huge, giant retirement community with the biggest newspaper in Florida now, the Villages. And we happen to have a weekly, Tony Barthel has a weekly column in RV Travel, bylined RV Travel, in that newspaper there. So if you read the local newspaper, we're there. Jim, you're in BC. I am heading to BC tomorrow, going up to Whistler for a week. So how about that? Where are you in BC, Jim? Are you in Whistler? I know we've got some readers up there. Anybody got any comments about their RVs? Or pro or con? Are you going to thinking of downsizing or getting a bigger one, or are you afraid of the gas prices? You're 12 miles south of the Villages. Okay. Well, pick up the Village. I think it's called the Village Sun newspaper on, I can't remember, it's Fridays or Saturdays, and they have a special RV section. It's a huge place. And they have, their newspaper is bigger than the Miami Herald and the Tampa Tribune. And it's because it's all people older who still like newspapers. It's and Jim, you're in the Vancouver area, huh? Yeah, we'll just go straight up 5 and then up catch 1, Canada 1, and then go up north and then get on whatever along the Sound there. It's just, oh, what a gorgeous drive that is. Oh, so pretty. Wow, Robert, you downsized from a 38 to a 23-foot travel trailer. Do you, was that a good move on your part? Downsizing? I mean, frankly, I'd rather have something smaller, but then again, if you pull a car, it doesn't make much difference. And if you don't pull a car, then you got to move around a lot because you get bored. And I used to just travel when I really enjoyed my RV travel more is when I was moving a lot. I would stay a day or two and I would just go exploring every day in my little 24-foot. Well, my last one was a View, Winnebago View. But now with having to make reservations so far ahead, it's harder to just be spontaneous and go where you want when you want. And I think the idea of using an RV to go places, stay there, and then have a car to drive around, or of course, I think last month or the month before that, I think all the sales today, most of the sales, I think it was less than 10% of the sales were motorized. So most people are buying towables, in which case they've got a pickup or something to unhitch and then travel around in. That makes more sense today for a lot of people. Bill from Spokane. Bill from Spokane, our other big city, big area up here in Washington. Thank you for my RV experience since 2016. So you've been reading since 2016. We actually have people on RV Travel who write to me, and they've been reading since 2001. I mean, we were starting, the first issue was scheduled to start with probably about 25 subscribers on 9/11 or within a couple days after that. And needless to say, nobody wanted to read about RVing at that point. So we started a couple weeks later. And that was, 21 years ago. That's incredible. I never thought this thing would go that long. I never thought I'd still be working well beyond what I thought was going to be my retirement age. And then I discovered that what would I do if I retired when I enjoy writing and publishing so much? And the RV industry is so interesting right now with all that's happening. You know, people living in them, the van life movement, the homeless out there along the streets of the cities that are just a puzzle on what to do about that. And it's far bigger than just about camping. I mean, I don't think RVing is really so much about camping anymore as a lot of other things, living. Scott went to Elkhart a couple months ago and had a great time at the RV museum. Yeah, the museum there, the RVMH Hall of Fame, and the MH doesn't stand for motorhome; it stands for mobile home, I believe. It was started mobile homes meaning like manufactured homes. But yes, that museum there is fascinating. It's a beautiful display of we've written about it, but anybody that goes through there, I believe one of the turnpikes goes right by, should definitely stop in Elkhart and go to that museum. You can spend a couple hours and do it in all these wonderful historic old ones, including the world's smallest Airstream and the first Winnebago motorhome, which was revolutionary because it was so inexpensive compared to the other Class A's. And I think that really lit the RV industry up with that. It was maybe somebody here knows $5,000, $8,000. I don't know, but it was inexpensive. Jimmy, you're on Highway 97. We have a Winnebago Navion, great for smaller parks. I agree. The Navion was the same as the View from Winnebago on the Sprinter chassis. Robert, we had our motorhome fixed up just like we wanted, and then we decided to sell and get out of RVing. Then 6 months later, realized our mistake and bought the trailer. Then gas prices went wild. Yeah, well, it's so funny because we were doing polls, as most of you know, read the newsletters. We do a poll every day, and I remember when gas prices were hitting $3, maybe even $2.50. I don't know. And we asked people, "Will you give up RVing if prices hit $3 or maybe it was $2? I don't know." And of course, many people absolutely they're going to give it up. Well, of course they don't. And now you got people out there paying more than $6 a gallon for gas, and especially when and the diesel's more expensive. And those diesel pushers are getting, what are you getting? 5, 6, 7 miles a gallon? How much is that per mile? That's $1, almost $1 a mile. Boy, I tell you, that's a lot of money. Okay, remember, #mug, MUG, mug, because you can win a RVtravel.com coffee mug. Coffee tastes better in an RV Travel coffee mug. You can only enter once. and we're going to be, unless nobody keeps talking and I just say I'm going to go do something else. I got to work on tomorrow's newsletter. But we still got some loose ends. It's our news issue. Jim Marshall, RVing is being looked at in a different way due to the homeless situation. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if you are, whatever your reasons for having for being homeless or houseless, whatever your reason, I got to believe that if you have the opportunity to have an RV and just basically anything that doesn't leak, that has a bed and a lock at night, and you can find a way to live on the streets, it's a lot better than sleeping in a tent or on a sleeping bag. And with so many old and beat up RVs that are just, they're not going to be sold to anybody that wants to use them for camping or recreation, then it's just going to be, I can't see it's slowing down, considering the economics of the times. But yeah, I mean, when we start looking around at what's going on in the news, probably if you search the word camping on Google, you're going to find that newspapers, magazines, television stations are calling what these people on the streets are doing. They're calling it camping, and so the word camping has certainly changed. I mean, I don't know that my experiences with camping are um, on a city street or a parking lot, and yet it seems to me when I look at all these articles that are being written, that they're basically all just trying to get a place to put these people out of sight, off the streets. And hey, there was a story we ran about probably about a year ago now, where somebody pulled into a tow truck, pulled a trailer or fifth wheel into a suburban neighborhood, a cul-de-sac, and dropped it right in front of somebody's house. And the tow truck drove away, and people started sleeping there in shifts, homeless people. And the people that in that cul-de-sac, it took them forever to get that thing taken out of there. I don't know if you have a home, if you want a bunch of people pulling up right on your curb and staying there. Some of these people are not the most law-abiding. I mean, some are, but that's a problem. I mean, I see both sides. I think most of us do, um, but yeah, the homeless thing is definitely something that is to be explored. We do more of that with RV travel than I think any other website, RV website, just because it's part of the culture these days, and we write more about the culture than I think. I'm not just interested in writing about camping anymore. I think that's part of the deal, and we all like to go camping. But our biggest stories are people that are interested in easier ways to camp, make reservations easier, and you've got bots out there that are making reservations that can make them faster than humans. And so we're out of luck. We're waiting 1 and 2, 3 years to get into national parks, where we used to be able to just drive in even 5, 6 years ago. Yeah, Robert says many times in the newsletter, the subject of campground overcrowding in the Southeast where we camp, we didn't experience this. Yeah, I realize that. There's many places, and if you want to go out to a primitive place where there's no Wi-Fi, there's no cell phone, there's no electricity, you're still going to find places. It's just that these RVs are being made with so many creature comforts, in residential refrigerators. They don't have tons of solar power. They need electricity, and so the RV parks are filled, and especially people that are traveling nurses, people working on windmills and other jobs that take them from place to place, other than the full-timing crowd. And that can be the luxury full timing or just finding the cheapest RV park you can find, um, are taking up spaces. And then you go to Yellowstone and Zion and Yosemite certainly is. But I think it says in the Yosemite website something like uh, uh, reservations for the next month open at 7:30 a.m. on a certain day of the month, and they say be there, be on your computer, have the exact time, and hit reserve at exactly that time because all the reservations will be gone in a minute. And so you're just lucky if you get there. But yes, plenty of places where you can still. And so we get letters from people that say, I don't see any problem with crowding. Well, I mean, yeah. And like right now, I'm going to head over to the Oregon coast, Oregon State Parks, and they're going to be booked all summer, but they're not booked now because people don't want to go sit over there in the rain. Um, but I don't know. I kind of like being out in the rain. It's coming back into walking on the beach and getting cold and walking back into your cozy little RV. I think that's kind of special. We typically book national parks, state parks, and casinos. Are looking at BLM for more options. Well, BLM in the West, certainly in the Southwest, there's no problem. I mean, yes, there are some problems in really popular, well-known places, but if you want to go off-road, and there are places where you're going to be all alone for a long, long time. So it's there for a 2-week stay, and then you have to move, I think, 30 miles or something like that. Um, oh my goodness, Bob, you've got a 45-year-old motorhome. About 8 years ago for 300 fixed the mechanical issues it had and went out to see what it's like to RV. I'm forgetting to put these things up on the screen there. Before the pandemic, we made several trips down south to Maine. So 45 years old, boy, I think you're going to win an award there from our crowd. That's yeah, that's good. That's great. Got it for 300 and fixed it up. Good for you. You're handy. I mean, that pays to be handy. Yeah, this is interesting. Trend for people purchasing lots in remote locations for their own use. That's fine. But is that RVing? Is that what we think of as going out and seeing the country and exploring and camping and going from one place to another, hiking the trails, or waking up to a beautiful sunset like all the ads? If you just buy a lot and put it on there, what's the difference between putting a mobile home, manufactured home, or just building a home? I mean, I see the difference. You're not traveling with it. I mean, I can see, well, you could put it there in one season and, pack it up and head south and do that. I mean, it's an option for sure. But I just don't think that the idea of RVing that at least I bought into when I started, um, I don't think I don't think that I feel it's the same thing. I don't want to, if I was going to just buy an RV and go out and live in a lot, I would just build a little cabin. I mean, what's the difference? I mean, it's going to be better insulated. It's going to, okay, everybody, hashtag mug if you want to win that mug. You can be very proud we're having that mug because we don't have very many of them. And Bob says his 45-year motorhome, I'm going to keep it going. Do you have trouble getting into parks, Bob, because you have an RV older than 10 years, much older, or do you go to RV parks? Those of you, we've only got 14 people on here. Do you stay in only in RV parks? Do you like to go out to state parks, federal parks, or do you stay in Walmart lots? I mean, hey, Walmart saves a lot of RVers every night from being alongside the road by offering their parking lots. Yeah, Scott just sold a lake house after 20 years, got tired of seeing the same thing. RV equals window to the world. Absolutely. That's what it's supposed to be about. And I can tell you that I have experienced that in the United States and abroad. And Especially enjoyed RVing New Zealand. And Iceland was, Iceland's easy to get to, and the Iceland people are nuts about RVing. You see RVs uh, in their driveways. Not big. The biggest ones will be maybe 24-foot Class Cs. A lot of van campers, but you can park everywhere. There's fields, campgrounds everywhere. It's 800 miles around the island. I highly recommend it. It's as beautiful as New Zealand, and it's a lot closer. So, and if you have Icelandic Airlines, or is it Iceland Air, near you, you can fly to Europe. If you're going to Europe, you can fly and stop in Reykjavik in Iceland and stop for a week or two. I can't remember. Just get off, rent an RV, and then get back on the plane and continue on. That's what I did. I think it was 2 weeks on an 800-mile road. It was not enough time, but it was good. Scott, I love traveling and try not to go to places I've been before. Well, people used to interview me when I was doing out west, and I was in my newspaper and getting a lot of publicity, and they'd say something about traveling the same roads. And I'd say, if you travel the same road, hey, travel it the other direction. You're going to see a whole different landscape. Travel it in a different season. You're going to see a whole different landscape. I mean, travel in the spring, and then in the fall, you're going to have all the beautiful colors, maybe. Or one day you're going to have a beautiful cloudy sky, and the next time it's going to be hot and clear. So yeah, you can travel the same roads, but to travel different roads, hey, that's great. See the country. Jim Marshall used like state parks, national parks. Yeah, that's great. But increasingly, at least the popular ones are getting filled up. CT last year is BLM land 3/4 of the time, and U.S. Forest Service land for quarter for boondocking. Yeah, first time exploring boondocking, and I'm hooked. I got to say that if you could get out there and live off your 12-volt, and there's no reason you can't, if you seems to me stay away from residential refrigerator, so you can use it on propane, and just are careful with your water. I mean, I've stayed out for a week at times years ago when I used to do more boondocking. I don't think it's hard at all. You can take a shower on a gallon of water. I mean, it's crazy compared to what we waste at home and taking showers. And if you flush the toilet once at home, it's in the RV is you can flush it 10 times for the same amount of water. That's the best way. Get out, get by a stream, get out in the beautiful, beautiful Southwest desert, in your little house, put the awning out, sit out there with your margaritas or whatever, and life is good. And if you're a non-top type A person, and you can sit there with a good book and enjoy walking around and exploring the nature, then it doesn't get much better. But people like me that are just go, 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 we have a hard time sitting out there too long. MUG, #mug. We're going to be drawing in about 10 minutes. It's going to be pretty good odds there. Let's see who else I missed here. What's your favorite national park? Anybody? Do you go back to the same national park over and over, or do you? Any of you? Do you have a favorite spot? I guess I'll ask this: do you have a favorite spot that you just go to over and over? Where I mean, I have one spot. I'm not going to give it away because it's close to me here in the Seattle area, and it will get booked up in the summer season nowadays. It used to not, but if I want to maybe go up on a Sunday night and stay through Thursday, I can pretty easily find a spot, even my preferred spot. If I won't book the day before, but maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks before. Out of water. All right, got any more comments? No more comments. I don't know what happened, where everybody is today. We had double this many last time. Michael, yeah, CT. I can only sit for 5 or 7 days. How about the rest of you? You said you like to sit for a long time, or you like to move around? Here's Scott. You have a 22-foot high-low and love being able to get in everywhere, but wife will only go if we have full hookups. You know, happy wife. What? You know, happy what? Wife, happy life. Oh, yes, I get it. Yeah, that's right. Hey, it's okay. But if you need, even in state parks, I find that if you want the hookups, they're going to be, closer together. You're not going to find usually as nice as spots in general. Love to keep moving and seeing everything. Yeah, now that we're getting ready to go off, we've been home. Gail and I we live in Seattle, about very close to where the initial, remember the nursing home that where COVID broke out. Well, we were down in the Southwest desert when that happened, and it's literally, as the crow flies, maybe 8 miles from us in snow. So here in Snohomish County, Washington, which is just north of Seattle, north of King County, we just said we're not going back right now. So we stayed down there, and in Arizona, and then we ended up, when it started getting a little warmer, we went up to Kingman, which is along Route 66, a little higher elevation. Managed to find a space there in just a very small RV park, and we stayed for another couple months, I think. So we were out about 8 months. And how I got onto that, I don't remember. Yeah, I'd say so too. I'd say, and I think this is one of the topics that we're going to take up is, what exactly is camping? I don't know what camping is. And we talk about this at our staff meetings. And I think we're probably going to try to get readers involved to just, what the heck is it? If you go out in one of these RVs that looks like a luxury condominium with 5 or 6 slides, wine coolers, heated floors, built-in vacuums, washer dryer. I mean, are you camping? What is that? Is that camping? Now somebody goes out in a little pop-up trailer and takes the kids and they go fishing and hiking. I mean, I think when I came into the picture and started camping in my 20s, I think that was probably what we thought of as camping. I mean, obviously in a tent was camping, and of course back then backpacking was really big. That was definitely camping, but I just don't know what. If you go out with I mean, I'm guilty. I don't think I'm camping most of the time. If we go to a campground and then we walk around, take walks out in the hiking in some of the trails, then that seems a little bit more like it. If we go fishing, do outdoor things, but now so many of the kids, or even adults, will stay inside and play games, and then a campground, an RV park, is at a real disadvantage if they don't have a good Wi-Fi. So, yeah, what is it? What's this? Parked our van by Mount Rushmore, rented a car to drive around Sturgis, Deadwood, and Custer State Park. That's beautiful up there. Badlands is the Badlands, and yeah, that's beautiful up there. Well worth going. I just did a story today. It's actually an old story that I rewrote about visiting Wall Drug and all around that area. It's just pretty great. Yeah, this is Bob, just a house on wheels, referring to those big fifth wheels, whatever. I mean, they're great for living. I could easily, personally, live in one of those, no problem. I lived in our 32-foot motorhome for 2 years, and I never felt crowded. I loved it. And I don't even know why we came home, but we did. And now we still got the RV. We put in full hookups next to our home. Okay, we're getting close to the drawing here in about 5 minutes. So if you haven't done hashtag mug, please do. Now we're going to have our drawing. By the way, this is coming to you from rvtravel.com, and if you are not subscribed, then or tell your friends. If you have friends, just go to rvtravel.com/subscribe. We could use a few more subscribers. It's not easy to get subscribers now with so much competition. So many people looking for eyeballs. And of course, I've been talking a lot about that and how that goes. And that's a whole other subject. Hey, Chuck, do you know if they still can stay at well, most Walmarts still allow you to stay. Yeah, I'd say what, 2/3 of them. More and more have stopped it, and I suspect that it won't be too long, maybe a year, maybe 5 years, that if the problem, the situation of the homeless people hanging out in those lots, it may get to the point where more start just prohibiting it because it becomes a safety issue or liability. But yeah, for now, Cabela's is generally good. The other big box stores, some people say Costco. I mean, it's kind of if it depends on the location where you are. Camping Girls used to, but I don't think they do anymore. I think they're too crowded. Scott, thank you for looking forward to the newsletter every week. You might want to think about the daily one. It seems to be growing faster than the weekend newsletter, RV Daily Tips. You can go to this issue here, that address on the screen, and subscribe to that. You can always unsubscribe to any of these you don't want to. Here's use an old stove top percolator so the coffee is always good, even better in that mug. Yeah, I did for years and years and years. We have a one that we can just pour the, whatever you call it, up on top, and just pour the water through a funnel, whatever. I'm getting old, I forget words. Cracker Barrel, yes. Cracker Barrel is known for accommodating RVers. So that's another good place. And listen, when there's no question that the price of campgrounds has gone up and is going up, and that, of course, is a deterrent for a lot of people that just can't afford to go in. And I mean, if you just want to go stay in an RV park and you're just passing through, and if you happen to get a spot, you're going to pay $50, $60, $70, unless you're way in the middle of nowhere, to get a spot. And you don't even need the hookups. You just want to go to sleep. Well, that's a lot of people just are not real thrilled with that idea. It's a lot of money. And in Walmart for free is generally quiet if you get off in a corner. And there's usually other RVers around. But occasionally you'll get kicked out at 3 a.m. And so that's the deal. Okay, I think it is time to give away the mug. So Ashley is in our control room here. And okay, Ashley, I think we'll go ahead and draw. We don't have very many people, so somebody's going to win it. Here we go. There you are. Who's going to win? CT, you won. You got the mug. Congratulations. It's your lucky day. Now, all you've got to do is write to me, Chuck at RVtravel.com, and send me your mailing address and your phone number. Now, the phone number is just because the shipping companies sometimes need to call you to find out where you are. And that information will be used to ship the mug and then destroyed. We're not going to sell your name or ever do anything like that. So Chuck at RVtravel.com. I think I have it right here, just so you get it right. Here we go. Chuck at RVtravel.com. So you got yourself a mug. Aren't you happy that you yeah, there he or she, CT, or is that are you a M or a F? Anyway, Scott, you just booked 3 nights for $24 total with my National Park annual pass. That, of course, is those passes are great. And if you happen to be over 65, then you can get the lifetime senior pass, which used to be ridiculously cheap at $10, which I got. And at the time, and now I think it's 80 or something. It's still up. And then for the rest of your life, you're going to pay half price at entering national parks, national monuments, many other federal facilities. Desert Rack, I go to Pismo Beach RV in California. Weekends are hard to get, but weekdays are no problem. I know Pismo Beach is very popular. Anywhere in Southern or Central California is going to be popular. So Cece, make sure you email me. If you don't, and I don't hear from you, then the prize is going to stay here for another week, and we will give it out next week or in one of our other shows. And if you happen to have a subject in your head about RVing that is you think you would like to share with the world, Harvest Host, if you got a subject, then please email me and tell me if you'd like to. We've got a show lined up on boondocking that will be starting soon. These are our shows that we run at various times, but I don't see any reason why we can't have these shows running all the time. My idea is to have them running, say, from 4 p.m. on a one weekday all the way up to in a 3 or 4 hour block. Of course, we're dealing with 3 major time zones here. So 4 o'clock in here in the West is 7 in the East. And if we start a show at 8 here in the West, which is the perfect time, then that's 11 back in New York or Boston. And so it's a little, but okay, Ashley, our person that was sitting at our fabulous control board. Well, not fabulous, but and then the other thing I will say is I will put a little pitch in here that if you want to support RV travel, we are the almost honest educational website about RVing out there. We tell the truth. We're not advertising dependent. We take advertising, but if we lost it all, it wouldn't matter. And a friend of mine was publishing an RV publication for the industry, and he wrote some very damning stuff about the industry. He lost all his advertising, and he was out of business before long. We can't be controlled that way, and that's because people care enough about us to chip in. Some give us $5, some give $50, some do $5 a month. It doesn't really matter if we get enough. That just pays some of our expenses. So that's my pitch for today. It's 10:49. We got any more comments? Any final things? And here's Alan brings up a good point. Harvest Hosts, probably harvesthost.com. Allows you pay a fee. I forget what it is now. And it's, I don't know, $69, $79, something like that. And then you can stay at hundreds and hundreds of wineries, farms, tourist attractions, even golf courses for a little bit more. And it is a fabulous resource. Um, so Boondockers Welcome is another one. You can check these sites out online. So those are alternative. And the thing about Harvest Host is, if you go stay at a winery, I've stayed in them before, and the most memorable one was a blueberry farm in I think it was Michigan, and we were right out in aside the field, and I remember the fireflies were flying, and we were all by ourselves. It was a beautiful night with the star-filled sky because it was so dark. And so Harvest Host is definitely I highly recommend that if you're traveling around. And there's so many of them now that you can pretty well find a place in the direction you're heading. You have to call ahead and make sure it's okay. I don't know exactly the policy if they'll just have one person, two persons, but it's not like an RV park. You're not going to be out there with a crowd. I know that much. Good people. I've been a supporter for ever since they began, probably about 10 years ago. It was modeled after a successful program in Europe. Same thing. All right. Harvest Host, got that up there. Final. We got 17 people out there and around the country, whatever. Maybe is anybody out of the United States, except I know we have Canada. Anybody there from Europe or Australia or New Zealand or who knows where? Maybe some of the astronauts is up there listening, up in the International Space Station. That would be very cool. Yeah, I'd like to know that. I'd like to have that. That would be something we would brag about for a while. Well, I might just call this. If everybody's said what they want to say. Again, if you got any questions about the website, RV Travel, where we're going, what we're doing wrong, are we too negative? People say that you're too negative. Well, I don't think we're too negative. I think we're just realistic, and there's a lot of negative out there. There's a lot of bad quality. There's a lot of when you put 600,000 new people out there every year, you're going to have problems with campgrounds. So there's things to write about that we write about, and nobody in the industry and the influencers and content creators who are generally people that write content that have never even been in an RV. They're filling up a lot of websites, not to mention the artificial intelligence stories that are being written by artificial intelligence. We deal with that subject once in a while. It is everywhere. You just give it the keywords, you give it an idea, you copy another person's story about RVing, and it will take the words and turn them all around. And Scott, you just gave a donation. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. They will turn the words around and spit out something, and they will guarantee you that, quote, this won't be plagiarism. But it really is. It really is below the belt. I'm sorry. It's unethical. We could fill our website with that stuff all day long. I mean, one of the stories the other day on a very popular website about RVing said it was written. I could tell it was written by artificial intelligence because it said it had a sentence in there that somebody who wasn't an RVer wouldn't know this. It said most RVers do not have garbage disposals. Is that most RVers? I don't know anybody that's got a garbage disposal, but that artificial intelligence robot said that, and whoever the writer was, just let it go. That's what you get. We don't do that. It's really frustrating. Well, listen, come back next week if you get. I don't know if I'm going to be here. I might have somebody else, but we'll have just because I'll be in Canada and I don't know what kind of internet I'll have. But thank you for coming by. We got up to 20 people. Thank you. Come next time. And one of these days when we really get this organized, we'll have some special segments on here and we'll do it right and make it more entertaining, and we'll publicize it better because we'll know we won't be making mistakes like we make right now. So I'm getting out of here. Thanks for joining me. And if you ever want to write me, Chuck at RVtravel.com. I'll probably answer you, unless you want me to spit out something that's going to take me half a day to write. So people do ask for advice. That's very technical. Next week, 30 people. Desert Rat, tell your friends. Tell your friends. Let's get 30 people. That would be fun. Okay, and I try to get my daughter, who is now editing this thing, to join me today, but she's busy and she didn't get herself ready for prime time. So anyway, thank you. CV, that is, I've forgotten all of a sudden here. CT, give me that name and address, okay? We'll get that right. It'll take about 2 weeks to get there, I think. So, okay, that's all. So thank you and goodbye.